elevator. So this little knob here is what your tool typically goes to. It's just a square rounded, we call it driver nut that's on assembly. This lowers and raises the tire. The problem with the factory tool, it doesn't fit this real good sometimes. And sometimes it slips. So the trick here is to find yourself a 1/2-inch drive socket like this and weld it onto a rod. And then what I did down here on the very far end is I welded a handle. That way I can just turn it by hand. So I use a little bit of rebar here, a steel tubing of some sort from Home Depot, and a impact socket, 1/2-inch drive, 1/2-inch. And you just flip the socket reverse. You want to use the wrench tool square. If you look in here, the square assembly, that fits pretty much on this, and it has a good grip on it. It ain't tight, it ain't too loose, and you're able to now lower and raise the tire assembly without worrying about the factory tool slipping, sliding, or anything else as far as that goes. So this is a trick here. So if you ever have any problems with your factory tool and you want to get away with it and you got a welder, just weld your own tool and use that instead. For the welder, I end up using a Hobart gas powered welder. For that thin rod, I use about a 40 amp setting. Don't go higher than that. I burned through the tubing because I thought I had a solid tubing until I realized it was a hollow tube, and I actually burnt through it. But 40 amps is more than enough amperage to weld that, especially with a small electrode. And you can pretty much either use your guide here, 6011 is what I use. Going by this guide, I believe there's a 3/32. I'm not going to go out and measure that stick, but 40 amps is about what I should have been on. Just be careful. If you got a spare rod, or excuse me, if you got a spare tube, you might want to go in and just do some practice dry runs on some tubes to see how much you can take. But if you look very carefully, I burned through that, and that's on me. Later on, I might buy another tube and redo this over again. Or I tried to do a destruct test on this. It didn't break off, so it was holding, but I burned through on this side, as you can see right here. But this is trick of the trades. If you want to get away from the factory tool, that is a piece of crap in my opinion, and you want to get something that actually fits this drive socket thing much better on the vehicle, just get yourself a socket, weld it to a rod, and put a little handle. What I did here on this handle, you can't tell it, but I put a nut in there. I threaded a nut, weld that onto the center tube since it was hollow. Then I welded a piece of rebar to the nut to give myself a handle. So hopefully that picture comes in. I'm trying to get a good angle there. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can get a better picture. Don't laugh at my weld job, but it's holding. It's strong. It ain't gonna break. Unless Arnold Schwarzenegger is turning on this thing, it ain't gonna break. And that take care of giving me a nice good wrench or a tool for lowering it and raising the tire. And I'll stick this inside of my truck in the back and be done. Hope this helps.